Welcome to the talk show Promising Bangladesh, sponsored by Crown Cement. And this is Sinha A.M.S. Saeed anchoring this very talk show. Viewers, today we have invited two guests. One is Professor Dr. Saber Chowdhury,
Thank you.
Chairman, Department of Peace and Conflict Studies, University of Dhaka. How are you, Mr. Saber Chowdhury?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you.
Well, other being Ambassador Mahfuzur Rahman.
Thank you, sir.
And one of the leading political analysts. How are you, Mr.
I'm
Mahfuzur
fine.
Rahman?
I'm fine.
Well, Dr. Saber Chowdhury, we know very well that recently the High Court, in a landmark verdict, High Court declared a part of the 15th Amendment to the Constitution unconstitutional. And having this, the caretaker government has been restored. At the same time, referendum
Right.
and other things has been left with Parliament, including whether the display of the photo of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujib at government level mandatory or not.
Right.
Second thing, 7 March speech of 7 March, whether it will be dropped or not, Parliament will see. Again, fundamentals of the Constitution, nationalism, secularism, everything, whether it will be enforced or not, depends on Parliament. Having all these things, a very dramatic initiative has been taken by the court to revive democracy in Bangladesh. What is your focus?
Thank you. It was a widely discussed point in many years, and we know very well what was the situation regarding conducting elections and other things in our country. Caretaker government system is little bit different type of inclusions in our democratic practice, especially in the case of election. But the thing is, different parties have different sort of standpoint, understanding, and in one point we found that Justice Khairul Haq, he was just come up with that it should be continued for 2 terms, this kind of things. But after that, we know very well what happened. And in these cases, for the present situation, maybe I think most of the political parties, they will welcome the decision. But it depends that how you will gonna to manage the, the caretaker government and this kind of things, because they will be going to conduct the election. Their leadership, their spirit, their temperament, commitment, these things are very important. And another thing we know about the referendum, it was also widely discussed in many arena, but we didn't get the opportunity for the inclusion and practice of this kind of things in our constitution. And you mentioned rightly that few points, they just keep it for this moment, for the decision of the next parliament. And the most important one, what is in my understanding, the people of the country, they are very much eager to know the road map, because on the basis of these things, the political parties need to take their decision when and how they will be going to the people and, take preparation for the election. Sometimes we are listening to the,
I will come to this point later on. Okay, thank you very much.
No, thank you.
Mr. Mahfuzur Rahman, what is your expression about these things?
I think there was a larger understanding that a government which was once elected but became fascist due to this amendment, this 15th Amendment to the Constitution. So therefore, people were thinking that there could be some kind of correction to this, and in general people were also interested so that the caretaker government system comes back. Now, as the High Court has already given its verdict, I think we can now see how the next election will be conducted. Though it's an interim government, and I have seen that Attorney General has said that this interim government can also constitute itself as a caretaker government, but I think there is a little bit of interpretation, legal interpretation is required, and maybe the Supreme Court then again work on it and find out a solution, because the role of interim government and the role of caretaker government is a little different. That government will, caretaker government will definitely only look after the election or the election procedure, and at the same time now there is an election commission. So I think this verdict will pave the way for the next election. So I welcome it.
Thank you very much. Dr. Saber Chowdhury, very important issue is there. If this interim government wants to have the election under this government, in that case there is already verdict from the High Court and maybe from the appellate division later on. It is revived. In that case, is it possible on the part of this interim government to act as caretaker government?
I think there will be some changes, because maybe it will come up with some sort of ordinances where they will indicate that how long this caretaker government will going to stay in power and what are the mechanisms to arrange the election. So in some point when this government will take decision to conduct the election, maybe they will hand over the power to the caretaker government, and after coming up with the ordinances, so they will conduct the election, and the way they will try to find out the people, because we know some sort of understanding, the involvement of the previous Chief Justice, this kind of things. So it will also have some sort of implications, because we know the controversy around these people. So we should wait how they will going to form the combination of the caretaker government. And still there are some sort of discussions in the election commission as well, that the expertise and the prudent attitude, how they will going to perform the election. So it's also one sort of discussion. So let's see what's the understanding of the people, what's their demand, and how this government, with the help or the insights of the political parties, they will try to convince all to conduct this kind of affairs.
Thank you very much. Ambassador Mahfuzur Rahman, very important question it is, if there is any caretaker government. Dr. Saber Chowdhury explained it very lucid manner. There is every possibility of having an ordinance. Without an ordinance, you cannot ensure election under a caretaker government. In that case, do you think it is mandatory on the part of the government, interim government, to have an ordinance?
You are asking that whether it would be mandatory. I think yes, following the verdict of the High Court, and if it stays like this in the Supreme Court as well, and even if it doesn't go to the Supreme Court, or if the Supreme Court doesn't have the time to give the verdict, we now know that the election is going to happen at the end of 2025 or early 2026. So by this time, this interim government will have to act, and this action may come from an ordinance.
In that case, there is no alternative.
I do not think there is any alternative.
And that is the reality. Well, if there is an interim caretaker government, then we may have a conclusion that election must be free, fair under the caretaker government. There is at least there is a belief in the minds of the people. I
mean, we all expect that whatever is the situation, the election should be free and fair. Otherwise, we will go back to the square one, which we do not want. So if, let's say, if people say that this is an interim government and there should be a separate caretaker government, I don't think there is any problem in accepting that one, if they could ensure that the election will be free and fair.
Thank you very much. Dr. Saber Chowdhury, very important question it is, and asking to you. High Court says, displaying of the portrait of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mahfuzur Rahman at the government offices mandatory or not. That has to be decided by next parliament. Until that time, law is in action.
Yeah, it's mostly a legal point. So if someone want to have the verdict of the court, they can go for writ or this kind of things and come up with the decision. It will be make our life more easy, because there are some sort of discussion in different corners, and you see sometimes you also see these things in the social media. If some important person take a picture including the these images, it builds some sort of controversy in a different way. So I think it's important, but not that important for this moment, because we are facing different sort of problems regarding our economy, our security, our foreign policy, and especially conducting the next election and to hand over the power to according to the mandate of the people. So these kind of things should be given more importance, and we can just hand over this to take this kind of decisions to the government who will elect in the next parliament. Or
How do you view these things?
I will also support what Professor Saber said, because we have many other agenda to encounter, and at this stage, let us take it very simply, or in a simple manner, that whether there is a picture at my back or not, it doesn't say anything. If I have respect for somebody, respect will come from my heart, so it will come automatically, whether there is a photo or not. So let us take it very lightly and concentrate on other issues which are more important for our nation at the moment.
Because we have to wait for the report of the Constitution Reform Commission. Still it is offing.
Yes, there are, Constitution Reform Commission, then there are next parliament, and there will be political discourse, so it will be eventually decided. So let us not wait, let us wait up to that point, and now let us do our duty.
Well, Dr. Saber Chowdhury, this is the first time in the history of Bangladesh, Professor Dr. Yunus has says there will be National Consensus Commission for the recommendation for the Reforms Commission, comprising all the head of these 6 Reforms Commission.
yes, for 60.
Very wonderful initiative indeed. If there is such initiative, if there is such consensus, in that case, something good may take place. What is your understanding?
Always we can't say that, because people's mandate is very important. We are selecting some peoples, including them in different sort of initiatives, but we need to understand the pulse of the people. It is very important. Yes, they are very qualified, they have huge experience. At least it is necessary to run the process or to roll the ball. It is important for this moment. But in the last point, we need to go to the people, those who have in real sense people's mandate, and conducting the election in a free and fair manner, and identify or get the real opportunity to the people, those who have the support of the people to run the country. It is the most important question for this moment, I think.
Thank you very much, Dr. Saber Chowdhury. We are going for a short break. Viewers who are going for a short break, please keep watching. Viewers, we are back to the talk show Promising Bangladesh, sponsored by Crown Cement, and we are having talks with Professor Dr. Saber Ahmed Chowdhury, Chairman, Department of Peace and Conflict Studies, Dhaka University, and other Ambassador Mahfuzur Rahman. And most of the time, they rested on such topics which is most important for the nation at this very moment. Well, Ambassador Mahfuzur Rahman, basically you are a man of foreign service, career diplomat, and it is known to you very well what is happening along the border side of Myanmar. Almost Arakan army has conquered 80% of the land of Arakan. and 271 kilometer border is now under their control. What is the fate of Rohingya in Bangladesh?
It's a very difficult question, but my information is based on the media reports from Bangladesh and from abroad. What I can see that the Arakan army, they were coming. I mean, not only today, from 2016 onwards, they were trying to consolidate their power, and they were going for the military campaign against the government. And when there was a change in the government and when the military came in power in 2021, from then on, Arakan army became, more robust, more action-oriented, and now we can see that they have occupied, other than Situe, almost the entire Rakhine region. So it's a formidable force. We need to accept that one. But at the same time, it's a non-state actor. So for Bangladesh, it's a really difficult situation. But the plus point is, I will mention two. One, if you could remember that after this caretaker government took office in Bangladesh, Anwar Ibrahim from Malaysia visited Dhaka at the invitation of Professor Yunus. So it was a very prudent decision for the caretaker government chief, interim government chief, Professor Yunus, to invite Anwar Ibrahim, because he is very influential in the ASEAN region, and at the same time he could have a better say in Myanmar for their internal scenario, their political settlement and all other things, and at the same time for the repatriation of Rohingya refugees. You also know that on 19th and 20th, the Thai government has organized a consultative meeting with the ASEAN members, with the neighboring countries, China, India, Bangladesh, and our foreign advisor is attending those two meetings. In one of the meetings, I heard that the representative from Myanmar will also be there. So I think the meeting itself, plus the sideline meetings, along with that, those two meetings, will be very crucial and helpful for Bangladesh to actually raise our voice, at the same time to show what are our constraints in the entire scenario. And I think that may help in future, in near future, the Rohingya causes.
Thank you very much. Dr. Saber Chowdhury, we know very well that US already passed a law, Burma Act. And the very purpose of the act is to get involved in the process of negotiation in Burma, or there are so many contesting groups there, ethnic groups are there, and definitely US has its own mission there. At the same time, Rohingya problem at this very moment is not in a position to get the life at this very moment, because we don't know who is the real government. We can't have any talk with the Arakan army. Real government is Myanmar government, and there is a national government also. Taking all this together, Ambassador Mahfuzur Rahman opined the talks between Anwar Ibrahim and Dr. Yunus, to some extent, is a breakthrough. And do you think having China, India, America here, can ASEAN play any role here positively?
Thank you. If you would like to discuss these things, the most important thing for this moment regarding our border situations, it is this crisis. But we don't know why in the media and in the initiatives of the government these things are not getting proper attention. You know, the dynamics is very complicated in Rakhine state especially, and already they conclude 11 their states out of 17. So the way they are approaching and progressing their battle, it seems that they are concluding most of the important military stations. Mundung already they have concluded these things, and in the newspapers we found that 271 kilometers they have already concluded. And in the Tangdup township, which is the most important, their military, for the overseeing the regional happenings, especially regarding the defense and other things, it's also in the hand of Arakan army at this moment. So what's the problem? The main problem is in our borders, we are mostly now deal with the non-state actors, the Arakan army. And we didn't take enough initiatives in this regard because maybe we are not aware of what will going to take place, the interest of the big players in the region. In the Kaladan transit, India has huge investment, and in our knowledge there are some sort of backdoor diplomacy they used there, and they contacted few people of the those who matters in the Arakan army to secure their investment there. And there were some sort of discussions that the Arakan army sometimes captured or kidnapped few Indian peoples, those who were involved in different sort of works there. As well, China, the Belt and Road Initiative, it was their long dream to establish in the region. And the Western powers, especially USA, they have big concerns because it will be a different Southeast Asia or South Asia, the communication and other things. So these things are making the situation more complex and volatile. The economic situation, we know that there were some sort of $10 million trade with the Rakhine state previously, but for the captures and the different sort of disturbance in that area, now it is $1.3 million per month in the Rakhine state. So it focus or it come up with the thing that they have real influence in trade and commerce sectors as well, which has real importance. And in the regional security, we need to as well think, we heard from some sources that Myanmar government is trying to have nuclear power. And already they have some sort of discussions with North Korea, which in real sense, India and US especially, they don't like the ideas.
Thank you, Dr. Saber Ahmed. Well, Mr. Mahfuzur Rahman, one of the veteran ambassadors, I saw one of the stars in the field of the foreign service, Ambassador Khalilur Rahman, has been appointed as High Representative with the rank and status of advisor to deal with, among other things, Myanmar issue. And do you think he may have any breakthrough, keeping all the realities in front of us?
I mean, it's very difficult for me to comment. Dr. Khalil is definitely one of the illustrious and very meritorious individual who served once in our foreign office, and then he also served in international organizations. And I'm sure, whatever responsibility we give to him, he will be able to deliver. But we are not sure how he is working. Let's say, considering his background with the international organization and United States, for example, or the West, let's say. The West has a different approach to this Rohingya problem because they would like to see this from the humanitarian point of view. But it requires a political solution, which is also evident in the United Nations report. So let's say if Dr. Khalil start working with that, I think we can expect that he will give us some kind of breakthrough. But you understand that it also depends on the Myanmar government. And at the moment, number one, it's a military government. It has less legitimacy, particularly in the West. And third, in the entire Myanmar, there are many ethnic groups who are fighting against the government, and many of the territories are under active control of those ethnic groups. So under that kind of circumstances, it is pretty even difficult to work with the military government and came out with a solution, because I mean, after that, let's say if there is a legitimate government or if there is a democratic government, that government also needs to endorse whatever we are interacting with the military government. So under all these things, if you consider, it's a pretty difficult thing. But it's a better step for the caretaker, I mean the interim government, that they have assigned one of the finest diplomat to deal with the matter.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mahfuzur Rahman. Well, this is the time to go for a short break. Viewers who are going for a short break, please keep watching. Viewers, we are back to the talk show Promises Bangladesh, sponsored by Crown Cement, and this is Sinha A.M. Saeed anchoring this very talk show. We are having talks with Professor Dr. Saber, Ahmed Chowdhury, and Ambassador Mahfuzur Rahman. Mr. Saber Chowdhury. Recently, Chief Advisor made a speech to the nation. And during the speech to the nation, he categorically mentioned the possible date of elections to Parliament. And probably it is at the end of 2025 or in the middle of 26. Having this date, probable date, all the political parties to some extent very much satisfied from the point of view of political strategy. What is your focus?
The most important thing, yes, they announced, it's not announced, and it's that in a speech he was just mentioning this kind of things. And he also included that if within this time we can conduct or finish this, then this and that.
Most important is we can.
Yes.
It may be.
Yes. And the second thing, what is happening in different sort of discussion or press briefing in this government, in the next day the press secretary said that it's June 2026. So it's always changing, but it will make the situation more complex. The most important thing, the interim government need to sit with all the political parties and discuss with them in real sense what within this time they would like to do and what should be the possible time frame. On the basis of this discussion, they need to give the general people as well as the political parties of the country a clear roadmap, what they are going to do in future. It matters. It is very much related with investment, because we found that many people, they are not investing now. So if this is the situation, they need to sit together and come up with this kind of statement. Reform is important, but the thing is in which areas they are going to reconstruct or reform, it is important. And in the long run, we did these things for several times in the administration reform, civil service reform, judicial reform. But if the political government will not going to implement these decisions, what will be the scenario? Some people, they come up with the thing social contract. Yes, it should be one sort of way that they are discussing these things with all the political parties and push them to come up with a social contract mechanism that we agreed that if we have the opportunity to go in power, we will implement this. And the most important one as well, no one is discussing that we don't have democracy within the political party. So you are going to ensure the democracy of the country, but you don't bother what's going on with the political system, with the political parties. So these things are very important, and this is the time The students, those who are very much involved in the process of this movement and other things, they are not also raising the issues because maybe they have some sort of lack of understanding here. But it is also important, and the campaign finance. When you are going to conduct the election, you are also pushing those people, those who are the business class. You know how much money you need to participate in the elections. We see that in the Union Parishad elections, some people they are spending close to 2 crore. So if this is the case, how you are going to involve the honest and the people, those who are working in the field level and in real sense, try to bring change in the life of the people.
Thank you very much, Dr. Saber Chowdhury. Ambassador Mahfuzur Rahman, what is your overall understanding?
I mean, first of all, as you said about the consensus, there should be a national consensus on major issues or national issues. It's true. But 1 year, 2 years, I do not think adequate time for coming to a consensus, because in the last 53 years, we failed. We failed miserably because there were a number of political parties who were in power during these 53 years. So we cannot just blame 1 or 2 parties. I mean, almost all parties were in power in different times within these 53 years. We all failed collectively to come to a conclusion or to come to a consensus on national issues. Even today we were debating whether there should be a picture or there should not be any picture. Whose picture will be there, who will be the father of the nation, those kind of things. You will see that we have huge debate even in the society till today. It's very unfortunate that a country which came in being after 9 months long bloody war, we couldn't conclude or we couldn't come to terms with our national issues. Well, but it's a reality. The debates are there. So, and these debates will not be over by 1 or 2 talk shows or 1 or 2 meetings or with 1 or 2 commissions. But yes, we need to initiate this one, and we need to have a target and approach each and every one that come forward and let us resolve it. Because as a nation, if we need to go forward, we need to resolve this basic thing. Or let's say, if there are debates, let this debate be there. But that debates should not hamper our journey for prosperity. So this we need to ensure. And there should be an understanding among the political parties and all concerned that those issues will not hamper our development, our path to prosperity.
Thank you very much. Dr. Saber Chowdhury, you raised the question of development, especially in the field of industry, trade and commerce, all these things taken together. Next 2 years is very difficult on the part of the government to ensure smooth running of all these things, because there is inflation, there is a world trade market, there is so many juxtapositions of all these things. Taking all these things together into this one box, is it possible on the part of the interim government headed by Dr. Yunus to have such a long time to satisfy the minds of the political parties in Bangladesh?
It is difficult to say, but the thing is, that's why I am saying involving different political parties, you need to onboard them. If this is the case, then many things will be possible, because they will be the main obstacles for him if this kind of situation will going to take place. So the situation develop and other things, and we always believe that he have huge respect and acceptability in different parts of the world. He have very good connections. So if he is going to maintain and use this kind of network, I think gradually the situation can be changed. But the thing is, the panic, the mistrust, the risk, the business people, they are not willing to take at this moment. That's why I told you the situation of the investment, and investment is related with so many things. the situation in the banks, we know the Asalam, and he was related to 7 banks, the situation of these banks and the decision of the governors, what was the situation at that time in different branches of these banks, we know. And many people, they resigned from their post. There are huge insult, harassment in different branches. But you see, after a few weeks, he issued 22,500 crore to these banks. So if this is the case, why in the beginning we just make this kind of chaos and having this sort of panic to the people, those who have their savings in those banks? So panic matters in the economic situation. And in the other way, many people, those who are from the previous regime, they are not in a situation, their money, their wealth are freeze in different banks, they are out of the country, and they were the main key players in the last 16 years. So the investment has some sort of facing obstacles in that case. So you are facing problems in different sort of ways. We heard that there are some sort of discussion and with IMF, but it's not that visible in the economy of the country at this moment. So we need more proactive measures to solve the situation and need the consensus of the political parties. They need to have some sort of understanding what will be the roadmap to run the country in the coming days. Otherwise it would be difficult in real sense.
Thank you very much, Dr. Saber Ahmed Chowdhury. Ambassador Mahfuzur Rahman, again, you are basically in the man of foreign service. Recently, the visit of Indian Foreign Secretary to Bangladesh under the cover of Foreign Office consultations, and immediately after reaching New Delhi, and the following day he had talks with members of the Standing Committee of Foreign Affairs headed by Shashi Tharoor, one of the leading intellectuals at the same time politicians in India. And he openly drew a picture what he learned from Bangladesh. Even we have seen in the newspaper, he raised the question whether the former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, who is now in India, should not talk openly. Such talks in the form of hesitations, in the forms of just, full of jealousy, should be stopped. But we have seen no result at all. Rather, Sheikh Hasina has not stopped his journey. He is going on. What is your analysis as a diplomat?
Now, I think the visit of the Foreign Secretary was definitely a positive one. It has melted the ice between the two countries. We need to look forward to see how we can take things forward from that point. With those agitated talks or telephone conversation, if we are not agitated, then suddenly one day you will see that those talks are stopped. Because we need to look in both the sides. I do not know. Definitely India has some responsibility. If they gave her, let's say, status of a guest, let her be there as a guest, but she should also behave like a guest. And I think the Indian government has a lot of things to do, but at the same time, I will also request my government to also help so that the relationship doesn't go again to the square one. Because many of our leaders, the responsible advisors and some other person, they also spoke sometime to the media in a manner which, the media can always instigate and the other side, the people and the media in India, they are also instigating comments. This should be stopped. And it's better if we could stop from our side. And then we can expect that those will be stopped from their side as well. Because if we speak, they will also speak. If they speak, we will also speak. So there should be one stop. And let's say if this continue, I'm sure that the people who are in diplomacy, who are in the affairs of bilateral relationship, they will act differently. You have probably seen that the Indian foreign minister has sent a message of congratulation to our foreign advisor on the occasion of our 16th December, Bijoy Dibosh. So it's a very good way of, let's say, developing relationship. And this can be a very small step, but this will definitely help to build our future together.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ambassador Mahfuzur Rahman. Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Saber Chowdhury, for joining this talk show. Well, viewers, we are about to end this talk show, and before end this talk show, as usual, I have to summarize what the two speakers commented, expressed, and viewed about the issues discussed here. Both of them are very high of Bangladesh, and both of them believe Bangladesh is a land of promises, expectations, and people are very much friendly and very much serious about their own future. And keeping all these things together, they believe that what is going to take place in Bangladesh at this very moment is very short-lived, because after the very declaration or message from the very chair of the chief advisor about the elections, probable time, date, to some extent political parties are thinking otherwise. At the same time, Professor Saber Chowdhury believes in the field of trade, commerce, industries, picture is not so promising. There should be some sorts of strong policies there. And without the political parties or the elected government, this hardly there is a possibility to have any glorious picture here. At the same time, Ambassador Mahfuzur Rahman believes that what is happening in Myanmar, centered in the Arakan army along the border side, that is a lengthy process. We may have strategy, approach that is from our side, but thing is very complicated because of so many players are there. And the very appointment of Ambassador Khalilur Rahman with the rank and status of ambassador may be a breakthrough, but everything depends on the reality and the parties involved there. At the same time, Professor Saber Chowdhury expressly said there should be minimum consensus for the reforms. And reforms is an unending process. The more we go for reforms, the more problems would crop up. And to suit the very purposes and to the very purposes of having election under a caretaker government, everything should be decided as early as possible. Then thank you very much, and we come to meet you in the next talk show. Thank you.